Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be watching this video. Today, we have a special guest here with us. We have Jason from Burst FTSO joining us today. And yeah, we're going to get into what Burst FTSO is. I have a couple questions lined up for Jason, and it should be a pretty chill day, nothing serious. So thanks, Jason, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Ace. Excited to participate and have a fun conversation with you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. You know, I've been getting more into the gear of these interviews. It's not something how I started my content journey out, but I've come to find out this is a really good way to kind of get engaged with builders in the ecosystem, learn a little bit more about them, personally, why they got started in crypto, stuff like that. So yeah, with that being said, man, you mind kind of walking us through how you got started in crypto? Because everybody's journey is a little different, and I always find it interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I came from a Web 2 background. I was in the kind of the startup world doing growth, marketing, that sort of thing. And it, dabbled in crypto here and there early on. But in 2020, 2021, I started thinking, maybe I should look at, options for taking my skill set into this world because I see it growing. I see a lot of massive opportunity with the technology. I took the leap in 2021 and joined an NFT ecosystem. So I was doing everything from marketing collections to token drops to community management. It's kind of a one person does all for crypto marketing.
Yeah,
But really learned a ton, right?
yeah.
Um, and then realized that DeFi was kind of more my vibe and what I wanted to do. So I got into DeFi lending, DeFi staking, worked for a couple brands in that space. Again, learned a ton there as well. The learning curve in crypto is steep, but had a lot of people help me along the way. And then stumbled into Flare, just looking through, data reliability on blockchain, and that put Flare onto my radar. Found Burst nodes and joined their team late last year to help them start to kind of expand awareness for not only their FTSO but Flare in general. And so I help with their content, community engagement, and just like from day one, I've been just massively impressed with Flare's ecosystem, the people in the space, their passion for building and just like adding real tangible value to what everyone's doing.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I got my start in crypto way back in like 2016 when I made my first purchase. I was a college student. All I had was like $20, because
Yep.
it's back in those days, it's like either you eat or
Ramen
you
or
play around.
yeah, fraction for sure.
Right, right.
Yep.
So yeah, no, that's how I got my start. And I've kind of been involved ever since. Obviously not to this degree, but you know, Flair, the community, it just feels right. Everybody is cool. You can reach out to anybody and they'll be more than willing to help you. So that's always a good sign, in my opinion. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and it's been my experience too. And our founder Rob, his background, I mean, he was in software engineering for like 20 years. And kind of the same thing was just like dabbling in crypto, but then realized like, hey, I want to build. I don't just want to invest. And
right.
that led him to Flare and launching the FTSO in 2022. And yeah, kind of the same thing. Like everyone seems to jump in after dabbling with it in a little bit and realizing the potential.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it has a good way of pulling you in even further, more than what you would
Right.
expect.
Yep.
I didn't expect to be creating content in this space. I'll dabble in code from time to time, but by no means am I a bona fide developer. Mostly by association. So,
Right.
it's a fun time. It's a fun time. So, I'm pretty sure. The community overall happy to have you, happy to have more members. So this is great. But I just want to dive into burst nodes or burst FTSO specifically. What made you guys want to spin up a FTSO provider and start from the infrastructure side of things, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Flare blockchain, just like its foundation, right? The idea that it's this like data first blockchain, data is in its DNA. I think that's what kind of separates it from all the other blockchains around, and that was something that Rob really felt compelled to participate in. So when he launched the FTSO, it was with this kind of drive and mission to you know build on this blockchain that really is like making sure that everything is the data is dependable, the ecosystem can innovate, users can participate with confidence, knowing that there are multiple people out there providing this data, that it's not one source that's populating that has the potential to potentially be manipulated. It's multiple sources that are all working together to contribute to this like data foundation, which is again just so incredible.
Right, right. Yeah, data is a big, big thing that I think often gets overlooked in the blockchain space. And for that to be Flair's main focus and main mission, I think that says a lot. There's plenty of other ventures out there that sound cool, that grab a lot of headlines and things of that nature. But at the core of it, if you don't have reliable data, I don't think any of those other ventures will really pan out that well. So
Yeah.
Flair seems to be headed in the right direction, and that's definitely something that I can support. So I'm pretty sure you guys feel the same. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
that's
mean,
awesome.
when you look at it, it's like data seeps into like every potential, user, right? Like for the base user, you need reliable price feeds to know that you're participating in safe lending, that the swap you're making is fair, that the staking rewards you're getting can be predictable. And for builders, they need that, that understanding that there's full transparency across what they're building, and it really is like that aspect of integrity has got to be like the foundation for cross chain wallets, like all the stuff that Flair's got on their roadmap for the future. It's all starts with the data.
Absolutely, absolutely. And security is paramount, especially when you're talking about dealing with people's hard-earned money. We
Right.
see what's going on with the US economy and really the global economy. So yeah, I mean, having those things be at the forefront of the mind, especially if you expect people to kind of from a mainstream perspective, get into decentralized finance and discover these new opportunities that they may not be afforded out in traditional finance or anywhere else. I mean, you got to make sure those you can check those boxes off and sleep
Yeah.
well at night.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always a good thing. So while we're on the topic of FTSO, do you want to go into any of the challenges you guys may have faced when building or supporting that may not necessarily from a technical perspective, but just a summary, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, like kind of the brief overview, like running an FTSO. I mean, it's essentially a 24/7 job if you're doing it right, So,
Mhm.
these epochs close every 3 minutes, every day of the week, and even like a 10-minute hiccup in communication can like wipe out an entire day's worth of data accuracy, right? So, like issues happen, like APIs lag, uh, hardware crashes, all that kind of stuff. So it's really I think, just the understanding that it's a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week job, and just like maintaining the infrastructure, maintaining the continuity and consistency. And then when it comes to the Burst Nodes site that we've built, what we saw is just a lot of, I think, just difficulty in new onboarding new users, that kind of thing. So what we're trying to do with burstnotes.com is really make it kind of this all-in-one Flare network dashboard that makes it easy for people to not only just participate in the ecosystem, but get information about other providers in the ecosystem. So you're able to log in and check your balance, your rewards, claim rewards, stake, delegate, all that kind of stuff. But we've been building a lot of new features around providing users with information about what FTSOs, what providers are consistently meeting the benchmarks to make sure you're maximizing your rewards, or what providers might be over delegated, so you might not know where to look for that kind of information. So we're making it really easy for people to see, like, hey, this provider's over delegated, your rewards are not going to be as high because of that. So
Hmm.
just doing what we can to make that process as easy as simple as possible, so people can maximize their rewards, participate in flare drops, and just get all the value out of the ecosystem that they can.
No, that's awesome. And what makes a good ecosystem, at least what I've kind of found out over the years, is the tooling. If you have the tools that make things easier for the user base, I mean that drives adoption even further. That drives
Yep,
several other metrics like TVL, stuff like that, because people aren't having to hunt for the level of information that they're looking for to make informed decisions. So no, that's
right.
awesome. And I haven't. I'll admit I haven't looked at the Burst website, but now that we're having a conversation, I definitely need to go out and have a look, because if I can have a place where all this information is in one place, I mean that makes my job so much easier.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, and
Um,
we're constantly taking feedback from the community. I mean, that's the other thing. Rob's like because he's running this FTSO 24/7, he's also building 24/7. So he's constantly getting messages from community members like, "Hey, what about this feature?" 10 minutes later, he's coded it and it's into like testing, right? So he's
yeah.
constantly building. So we're always trying to improve that experience in that process. Because like you said, I mean that information is just so powerful when you can know what to look for, you can see it simply, and just create that onboarding experience that people are used to in traditional finance. It's easy, it's simple.
Right, right, right. And that's actually interesting. That you guys have such a quick feedback loop. In enterprise corporate America world, I'm a what you would call a business systems analyst. So I work with a lot of business users, a lot of developers, things that nature, and the feedback loop is not as fast. So
Right.
I can appreciate somebody taking my feedback and quickly implementing it, whether it was good feedback or not. Maybe you guys go behind the scenes, talk amongst your team, and remix it a little bit,
Totally.
but still being able to see like, oh, these guys are like working fast and
Yeah.
they're producing quality content or quality improvements and things of that nature. That's a good thing, and I think that goes a long way with users. And a lot of people discount that, so that's awesome that you guys do that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So you mentioned the FTSO. Are you guys also running a validator or anything like that, or are you looking into doing so for future build outs?
Yeah, no, we've got all of that, as we're building out to prep for, I mean, everything that Flare's got in their pipeline with the protocol managed wallets, the TEs. I mean, everything that Flare's putting on their roadmap is just going to create a massive opportunity for all the FTSOs, all the validators, all the data providers to just really continue to add so much value to the ecosystem. So, yeah, I mean, we're running multiple nodes, managing the price feeds, managing all of that stuff in the back end to make that user experience you know, not have to worry about any of that stuff.
Right, 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 right. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, it seems like you guys are constantly working in the background, which is always good. Any, upcoming future things that you might want to discuss, any upcoming features that might be added to the website that you're able to discuss, or anything else.
Yeah, so the most two recent updates we just launched this week. So we integrated 20 different wallets. So originally when we launched, you could only connect with MetaMask, but now it's Bifrost, Trust Wallet, OKX. There's a list of like 20 different wallets that you can now integrate, and it's super simple. You just go to your wallets in-app browser, type burstnotes.com, connect, and then you're good to go. So we made that process really simple. And then the other thing that we launched this week was making it really easy for people to kind of go through the list of delegators. And we now have it sorted automatically where the highest paying providers automatically show up at the top. So you can find the best options right away. And then you can check off a box that says responsible provider, that then filters all the different providers by who's consistently signing rewards, to make sure that you're guaranteed to get that rewards payout. Because if a provider fails to sign a reward, or epoch, that could impact, your reward type thing. So we got little tooltips in there to explain everything. But then the new feature that we're working on is adding even more visibility to that provider list. So we want to show past reward rates and averages, so that way you can go in and not just see the current one, but you'll be able to see an average of all past rewards, so you can really make that informed decision as easily as possible.
Right, right. Yeah, because it's more about consistency, not what you're doing
Right.
right now, but what
Exactly.
has your track record looked like?
Exactly.
And like in the early days of, delegating and things of that nature, that was a huge point of contention amongst the community is like, how do I know who's trustworthy,
Right.
who is consistent with their FTSO data provider service? So no, that's awesome. That's awesome. But I'd like to kind of step away from burst nodes and burst
Yeah.
FTSO and ask you, Jason, more so about, what do you want to see or what do you like seeing in the current crypto ecosystem, just not within Flare, but broadly. I do a lot of exploration on other chains and I say, oh, that'd be nice if, Flare could eventually get a product like that or a partnership like that or anything like that. So what do you see in the Flare ecosystem that you might like to see come to Flare or anything else around in that realm?
Yeah, I mean, if I was to put on like my crazy prediction hat for future Flare, I mean, looking at my background coming from, you know, like the NFT world, that sort of thing, which at the time a lot of folks were transitioning to this idea of, Web3 gaming. I think it could be really interesting to see if, Flare powering like the first decentralized gaming multiverse, where you can use your FDoge or FXRP across blockchain based games and using F assets for in game economies. Like something like that could be pretty
Mhm.
fun and pretty interesting to think about. But like maybe doing, like something a little more realistic is just like the idea of like multi-chain financial products, right? Like we've got F assets coming, we've got XRP staking, that kind of stuff. But maybe looking at RWAs, like they're tokenizing real estate, stock, things like that, bringing some of those TradFi assets into the Web3 world. What would it look like if Flare had like a hub for cross-chain exposure to those types of assets? That could be really interesting.
Well, yeah. I mean, both of the things that you brought up are extremely interesting to me because in whatever free time I may have or may be able to carve out,
Right.
I game a little bit. Not as
Nice.
much as I used to back in the day. But it seems like traditional AAA games have gone stale, and I don't know, something's missing. Passion, a number of things that I could come up with, but one thing that I don't like in the gaming world is, we buy a game and it's half baked, but we paid full price for it, right?
Right.
And I think Web3 could offer users the ability or gamers the ability to take my assets from this ecosystem and either resell to recoup some of my money because the game didn't turn out how I thought or whatever. But in traditional world of gaming, I'm left with the bag. I just wasted 70 to $100 depending on the game. And being able to take those assets and go to a different one, different ecosystem, gaming ecosystem, and start from there instead of having to start over, redeploy capital, things of that nature, in order to even get started in the game. Um, more creativity, stuff like that. So that'd be nice if we
Yeah.
could see like a legit Web3 game powered with verifiable data, thanks to Flare's protocols, things of that nature, and the assets that are available from a monetary perspective. But then circling back to your hub idea for different assets being tokenized, like I'm looking at like what Ondo Finance is doing. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yep.
Uh, they're doing some pretty interesting things that it's like, I wonder how much better that could be with Flare's data protocols or something like that. You got Ripple buying a prime brokerage. Hugo's brought that up. So,
Right.
it's a myriad of things that are possible, and it all starts with the verifiable data aspect that Flair's focused on. So
Right.
that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, and I mean, Flair's setting this up really nicely to make it easy for TradFi to actually start to transition and migrate into the world and Flare ecosystem. I mean, when you look at the TEE stuff, you look at the idea of like having, unified collateral management, liquidity recycling, like with F assets and the different pools, you can really start to see how attractive that would be. Like go well beyond like the ETFs and create these, financial products for like not only the native crypto folks, but for the everyday normies who now have that, immutable, verifiable transparency by putting that all on chain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you throw in the AI compute type of path that we're going down in the whole vision of Flare 2.0. I mean, it's a lot of possibilities that get opened up there.
Yeah,
Every chain talks about AI this, AI that. It's almost like the gimmick thing, but
the
are
buzzword,
they
right?
really doing it right? Yeah, right. It's a
Yeah,
buzzword and not actually implementing, industry changing things that really make us take a step back and say, hey, why were we doing it like that this entire time?
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, Flair's positioning itself to really be an industry disruptor. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And honestly, that's all the questions I had. Do you have any questions for me? Let's make this a two-way street, possibly.
yeah. No, I mean, I'd love to. Like, the big thing I'm excited about are the protocol managed wallets because I feel like that's the first piece that's going to set off this like kind of cascading effect of everything that's going to be happening on Flare, and then just giving the opportunity for way more builders to come on. I'd love to hear what you're excited about to see from like not only that product launch, but how you feel that might impact the ecosystem overall.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about protocol managed wallets because of mainly the bridging aspect. Like, you don't have to participate in traditional bridges to interact with assets on a totally different chain anymore,
Yeah.
right? And I think my biggest thing is user adoption, making it super stupidly simple for anybody to
Right.
come in and
My
get
mom, your
started.
mom, whoever.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right, right. Because right now it's not the best experience for people who may not be technologically inclined or
Right.
may not be entirely tapped into what, you know, crypto is or how to go about things. Like bridging assets is still considered an exotic activity, right?
Yeah.
Like
And a
I mean,
scary
you have to
one.
really know what you're doing. Right. And
Yeah.
it's a scary
Yeah.
one. I mean, I bridged some assets the other day through Stargate, and I know it's ultimately trustworthy, but like just waiting for the confirmation. You're like, okay,
Yep. Yep.
and it can take a minute. It can take a minute, and people who may not be used to that may not tolerate, or have the level of patience that you may need. So yeah, man, I'm hoping that protocol managed wallets opens up a whole new world of user adoption. You abstract the chain away, so it doesn't even matter what blockchain you're operating on. It's almost like email back in the day.
Yep.
Nobody knew how email worked, the mainstream people at least. They just knew that if I type this message and I hit send, someone around the world is going to get my message, right? So, um, not everybody knows that there's SMTP calls under the hood being made to make that happen, right?
Right. And they
And
don't
I
need to.
feel right, right, right. They don't need to. And I feel the same way towards blockchain and
Yep.
just getting in this overall ecosystem of crypto. So yeah, I'm more excited about that. I'm excited about other innovations like I had a conversation with Nick from Oxenflow, being able to make these interfaces when interacting with wallets like really seamless, really intuitive and things of that nature because I mean, managing your wallet, managing your assets is a major part of the overall crypto experience. So the
Agreed.
easier we can
Yeah.
make stuff like that, the better.
Right.
So it's overall just I'm looking forward to just making things a lot more simpler, a lot more intuitive in the blockchain space, and that seems like that's where we're going. So yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm excited about.
Yeah, and I really appreciate I think, Hugo and team do a really good job of outlining a lot of different opportunities on the ecosystem, but, really drilling down and just taking their time focusing on building, people that aren't, developers or coders, don't necessarily realize the amount of time it takes to launch a new product, and then, like, once it's launched, you're in beta, you're testing over and over, stress testing, making sure everything works. So I really appreciate the fact that they do that right and they do that well. Everything's audited, just making sure that security is paramount. So yeah, I really think Flare is just well positioned for an immense amount of success in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I greatly appreciate, builders like yourself, Hugo, Nick, several others that we've had conversations with. You guys are more than willing to interact with the community and, you know, and it gives us the opportunity to get to know the human aspect of what
Right.
we're dealing with, right? Like you
Yep.
guys aren't just robots, you're not just building something for our benefit. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys are, participants or users of your own platform. Otherwise, why would you build it?
Right.
Um, and that's one thing that I think retail or just from a community perspective we often discount is that there are real people behind these products, behind these projects and initiatives that if we took the time to kind of understand from their perspective, that maybe we can broaden our own perspective, right? So I greatly appreciate guys like yourself hopping on here, having a quick chat with me, and being able to share this with the community and those outside the community because Flare is the only, at least the one that I'm familiar with, that only community that we're able to easily interact with both builders and non-builders
Right.
and be able to kind of like meet somewhere in the middle. And I think broadly our community enjoys that, especially since myself, the guys at Flare Forward have been doing this. So it's awesome. It's super awesome. So hopefully we can continue this and continue to build that relationship and build that rapport with each other. So
Yeah, I totally
yeah.
agree. It's a very collaborative environment, and we collaborate with all the other FTSOs. It's not competitive. We're constantly helping each other out with, issues with coding or things not working. So yeah, to say the same thing about the both sides of the community too. It's amazing to be a part of. Love it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Jason, I didn't have a whole lot left. I didn't want to keep you long. This was awesome. I appreciate you stopping by, having a quick chat. But yeah, any closing remarks before we head out of here?
Yeah, I mean, if you care about real world adoption, stick with Flare Network. I mean, they're doing it right. Burst nodes is here to keep the back end stuff running, the data running with all the other FTSOs we work with. But yeah, no, really appreciate the chance to get to talk to you, Ace, meet you, and yeah, looking forward to continuing to support your content creator journey and love everything that you guys are doing as part of the Flare Forward team too. Love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And with that being said, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.